We are continuing our coverage of the war in Ukraine, but we also want to keep you up to date on the progress of the Iran nuclear deal. That is still being negotiated right now. Even as this war takes place in Eastern Europe, the Biden administration wants back in on a very bad deal, according to the former president. Here in the U.S., the New York Times is actually refusing to publish an ad in its newspaper opposing a new deal unless the advertiser makes changes to that ad. Here in a democracy, that's where we are right now. You want to talk about state-run media? That's an example. For more on this, let's bring in an expert, managing director of the Coalition for Jewish Values, Rabbi Yaakov Menken. Rabbi Menken, great to have you on the show again. Just want to get your initial reactions to what the New York Times is doing in refusing to publish this, what would be just a regular ad in the newspaper.
Well, every newspaper has standards, and they have a right to their standards. But when the New York Times says that we're not going to publish an ad that points out that Iran has genocidal intentions, it wants to exterminate Israel, that it has a history of the last 40 years of murdering civilians around the world, including Americans, including the fact from 1976, from the moment of when they took over the embassy in 1979 until Reagan, they were holding hostages, American hostages.
Yep, until day one of Reagan.
And this is what the New York Times does not want Americans to think about today.
Okay,
it's really quite appalling.
Rabbi Menken, let me put the ad up one more time. When I saw this story over the weekend, this ad reads, it's fairly benign, but here's what was going to be in the New York Times this weekend. Mr. President, as you impose crushing sanctions against one nuclear aggressor, please don't create another in Iran. And then there's a little bit of language about the specifics. But again, not hugely offensive. Does that rise to the level, as you see it, as something that's unfit to publish?
Definitely not. There's one particular paragraph. Could I read you the paragraph?
Please, please.
Iran and its Revolutionary Guard have engaged in the same practices, threatening neighbors with annihilation and murdering civilians around the world for 40 years. From the imprisonment of American hostages in our embassy in 1979 to murdering 19 U.S. Air Force personnel in Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia in 1996, to thousands of American soldiers murdered and injured in Iraq, the Iranian regime and the terrorists of the IRGC have caused rivers of American blood to flow, all while promising that Israel would be exterminated.
Wow.
All of that is relevant information. All of that is true. All of that has been verified beyond any shadow of question. So what exactly is the New York Times problem? All the news that's fit to print, but they won't print the truth.
Unless it goes against their guy, Joe Biden. I'm curious over the weekend, too, your take on this. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, he flew in covert fashion to Moscow and sat down with Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, for more than 3 hours. They spoke for more than 3 hours. Could Bennett be somebody that ends up mediating a possible peace ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia?
I think it's problematic for numerous reasons. I mean, I obviously look at this primarily because as a Jewish American and not as an Israeli and not as a diplomat. And the problem with what he's doing is that right now Putin has very good relationships with his Jewish citizenry. He is an autocrat. He could change on a dime if he wishes to. He could make life very problematic for Jews living in Moscow and in the rest of Russia, and unfortunately, in the territory that he has taken over in Ukraine. We don't necessarily obviously, we don't want to see that happen. And there's only one Jewish state. Whatever Jews do in one part of the world, Jews get blamed for in other parts of the world. We've seen that throughout history, including in recent history. So Bennett, unfortunately, has to tread extremely carefully for the sake of the Jewish community right there in Russia, who he will leave behind. He'll go safely home to his own, and that's not exactly a dacha, his apartment in Jerusalem.
Right.
But he's going to leave behind people who may have to face consequences. So he has to be extremely careful. I don't see how he is in the right position.
Well, that's what I thought, too. Why
deserve.
Naftali Bennett? Of all the different NATO leaders or Western leaders that could interface with Vladimir Putin, why the Israeli prime minister, the new prime minister?